Hello creatives. So in this video, I have a very special project I wanted to do for Christmas. And when you're doing projects, one of the things that you work through is how do you simplify some things and how do you kind of save some time along the way. So we're going to be using DALL-E, Photoshop, Excel, variables, and a template that we get from Envato Elements. So we're using a lot of different things, and this is really what it looks like in the real world when you start to do a project. You're just not generating content. You're trying to pull something together to complete a project. In this case, I wanted a slideshow with Christmas songs and images that represent those songs. So to start, first place to start is to get the images. And I did that in DALL-E. And the first thing was I just was randomly creating images here. And so I created this image and basically some space galaxy image that I saw someone else do, and I wanted to see what would DALL-E get. And it got me that, and I thought that was kind of cute. But I just happened to say, well, what would it look like with a Christmas song? And then, for example, Silver Bells. This project kind of came about accidentally, but we got this image and I thought, well, let's keep going. And we just kept going, adding songs. The one thing I stressed, I wanted a African-American brother and sister. And I let DALL-E do most of the work. So you can see that I did Jingle Bells and DALL-E did all of the work. I didn't do anything. I just wanted it to take the image and run with it just based on the song. Okay. So it did this. Of course, Give Love on Christmas Day. Really nice song. That is, that's the Jackson 5, yeah. Silent Night. So you kind of get the idea here. Not a lot of prompting, just give it the song and let DALL-E create. Really did like this one. And this one I decided to start bringing families into it, so just to kind of mix it up a little bit. And here I didn't give it a specification of a brother and sister, so it gave me, this is cute, but this is not what I wanted. I wanted the brother and the sister. But I reshot it, and of course it didn't give me the sister, but I thought this was a cute picture. Let's keep it. And I just kept going down, and finally I just asked it to give me a whole list of other songs, and that's what it did. And we just kind of went through and started picking out images from it. This was interesting. So Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You, I think they took this from the movie. I am not sure, but I'm guessing if we were to go look at the movie, what's the name of the movie that song came from? Oh, I have to think about it. So I just went through, created the images. I really did like this one. I thought that was really, really interesting. And it kind of gave me the same style with Deck the Halls. So that's what it did. And now we had all of our images. Now the next thing to do was to organize all of these images. And here is where you have to start thinking about how do you want to approach projects like this, because we've generated the images, but in order for this to work smoothly, you have to think about how are you going to organize these images, your naming, your files, your placements, all of those things to make sure that this works really smooth. So let's start there, because before we even go over to Photoshop, we kind of need to get this part, we need to get this part organized. Okay, and so the next step is going to be in spreadsheets. And we're using spreadsheets because when we get to Photoshop, we want to just import the data into Photoshop, and I'll explain that. You will see why later. Oh, and finally we got our Frosty the Snowman. All right. So what I wanted was all the list of all of the songs that we used for this in this chat. And what it did the first time, it gave me this list, which is not all 18 songs that we have. And so I had to reprompt and say, go through the entire chat history. So here we go, where I'm asking it to give me the entire chat history. And now we have our full list of songs. Okay, so that was one thing. Now, downloading an image. Let's download an image so we can see. You can see how the files, how the naming of the files, but this is the original name. And if we look, because this is how DALL-E names his file, it takes the entire prompt, okay? Could not use this. So what I did was, to make my life simple, I simply went from here, I simply did this and saved it. Okay, so that was how I downloaded all of the files. As I was downloading them, I was changing the name, so then I get a name like this. However, I know in Photoshop doesn't like special characters in the naming of a file. It doesn't really work well with spaces inside of a spaces in the name of a file. So we needed to rectify that. Okay. So partly one of the things we did was we first went into, we had the name of our images. Okay, so this is what the final tab looks like, but let's start over. So this is what I did. There's a song. For Photoshop, we needed to know where was the image. And I wanted to separate the artist. Okay. So this was part of it. It was getting the name of the song and then getting the artist. If we come back here, you can see that in some of these, it had the name of the artist inside of the name of the song. That I didn't want. I wanted to separate them. So I manually came in and just took that out, moved it over. And then for the rest of them, if I didn't have the song, I knew some of them I said various artists because, so many different artists do it. Feliz Navidad, I think that was Jose. That had a name in it, Jose something, I'm not sure. Frosty the Snowman, again, various artists. But Little Drummer Boy, I was very specific that I wanted Bing Crosby's and David Bowie's version. So I thought about the artists and who I wanted to represent that specific song. So that's how I got to this list here. Okay. So I get to this list, and now I need the images. Okay. Now, one way we can do this, we can hold down the right shift key, click link, and it will go to the folder, but, sometimes that folder is not there. So you have to come here, go to downloads, Christmas project, and then come here and select the link. All right. Of course, I want the name of the link. I don't want the hyperlink. I want the actual link path. That's what Photoshop needs. Okay, but we know that the naming of the files are not correct yet. So what I did was I took all of these names, copied them, because what I wanted to do was get rid of the special characters and put underscores under the name, so every single file is a single name file versus having spaces and special characters. For that, I just went into Claude. I just happened to have Claude open, and I went into Claude and I just said, do this. Take the name of the file, remove the special characters, place underscore between the words. So we're just creating a single name file versus all the spaces and special characters. And this is what it did. And I simply took this and renamed my file. So I'll go ahead and delete that. And this is how I renamed the files. Okay, this is done manually. There's no special way of doing this. You just have to go one by one and do this. Okay. Now, all of that was done. It was now getting the path into the spreadsheet. And in order to do that, what I wanted to do was have it in details and wanted to make sure that it was in alphabetical order because my spreadsheet is in alphabetical order. So hold down, select the first name in the list, select the first file in the list, hold down the shift key, select the last file in the list, and while holding down the shift key, right click and you get copy as path. If you do not hold down the shift key, let's say I let go of the shift key, I don't get the option. Okay, so you have to hold down the shift key, right click, and you can say copy as path. Now that I have the copy as path, I can come over, paste, and now we have our path and everything is done here. All right, so we had that, and now we're going to save this as a CSV file because we're going to be importing this into Photoshop. We're going to have to do, we'll save it as number 3. Okay, so we got that. Now, if you have any issues with this, you can copy all of this. You can put it in the Google Sheet and download it. Because sometimes with Excel, there are these, I guess there's just code behind the scenes or anything that Photoshop has a problem with. It doesn't have a problem when you do it with the sheet. So you can use Google Sheets to also do that. And with the Google Sheet, it's just a matter of file, download, and again, as CSV. Okay. So now that we have everything out of the way, it is time to go to Photoshop. Okay, this is what it looks like, but I got this from a template from Envato Elements, and mainly because I didn't feel like designing something myself, and that's the whole point of having access to all of these templates is that you can do something like this. So I just went to Envato Elements. And if we come over here to my downloads, I just downloaded this. Okay. I just wanted it something simple, clean, but express Christmas. So this was the template that I used. In fact, let me close this and reopen it so you can see what the original, all right. This was the original template. Now, this image right here was not going to work. So what I did was I went into the image here, and this is a smart object. So just kind of go into the smart object and we can look at the size. I know the size of my images are 1024 by 1024. So that's what I want to make here. 1024 by 1024. Okay. All right. So close that, save it. And now we have this. And now to get it to fit, I just made it slightly smaller. I believe something like that. Okay. It may be even smaller than that. It is. So, all right. Worry about it. We won't worry about it. But we made it smaller so it can fit. I can fit the image in there. And then it was a matter of the text. So this little element here, I also made this smaller. Oops. And there's all these little elements. Yeah, this one. So this one, I kind of moved up, made it a little smaller. All right, so I did that. This right here did not work, so I turned it off. And the name here, and the name here. Okay, so this is essentially what I did. Now, we have an issue here because one, put the change to this text. We have a couple of issues that we need to work through. I think I used avant-garde or something like that. All right, and the same thing here. I replaced it with the avant-garde. All right. The issue that we're going to have is this. We have different names, different artists, and the length of those names of the songs are going to be different. But I know that it always has to fit in this space. Everything has to fit in this space. This is going to be my issue. Can it fit in this space? Well, the way I'm going to test that out, I'm going to take the song with the most characters, and I'm going to take the artist with the most characters. I'm going to place that as I'm going to use that as my placeholder. All right. So to get that, I just needed to know, well, how many characters are in the song, name of the song? So I just went at length, L-E-N-A, close it, and it gave me 31. Just scroll all the way down, and then this was song length, and the same thing, at L-E-N, right? And now it's just a matter of filtering largest to smallest. So Let It Snow has the most characters. And for my artists, Kirk Franklin and the Family, that is how I got it. If we take Kirk Franklin and the Family, that has to fit under here. And I need it to be centered. I think I got -50 to make it a little bit smaller. And then I just took it down to a size. We didn't get all of them. I just took it down to a size where I knew that it could all fit. And the same thing here with Merry Christmas. We'll come up here. We will go largest. This song right here is the longest. Again, we want it to be centered. It's 50 and maybe, I believe that was 60 as well. Okay. This is how I determine the length of the size of the characters. I just took the longest name of the artist and the longest title song, and I made that the standard. Okay, and now we have to go on to the next part, which is we've built our template. It all looks good. We now have to make it work. We want to get everything together and make it work, and we're going to use our variables. Now we will go with, we need to name our variables. I want the name of my layer, the name of my variable to match the headings in my spreadsheet. Okay, so this is the name of the song. This is my artist, and there's my image. I have that. Now I can go up to Image, Variables, and Define. And here, what we're doing is we're defining the layer. What is the layer? We have a song. We want text replacement. And this variable name, we want it to be the exact same name we have in our spreadsheet, which is song. We have our artist. We're going to name it artist. And then we have image. See, it didn't work. And this is the reason why. Let's go here. My image is still a smart object. I'm going to right click. I have to rasterize it. And now this becomes the permanent size of this image. When we bring in our image, it's going to come in at this size. But now that I've rasterized it, I can now go into image, variable, define, and now you can see we can do pixel replacement. And we want it at image. Now that we have that, you can look at the fit. How do you want it to fit? You want to fill, which means that it's going to fill the area, but I never go beyond fit. My main point of this is that when I'm doing something like this, all of my images are the same size. And so I don't worry about that. I just make all of the images the same size and I make it fit. Hit OK. And now that we have that, we can now define the spreadsheet. So we're going to come in, we'll do our data set this time. So our data set, we want to import, and we're going to import that CSV file. In fact, let's do this again. So, Oh shit, did Photoshop just crash? Okay, did not crash. All right, great. My Photoshop just crashed on me, so that's still there. All right, so let's go back in here and image, define. Let's see if everything is defined. That's all defined. And now we need our data set. We're going to import a data set. We'll select the file, and we will go to, you can see here it says text file. We want CSV. And we're going to go with project number 2, load, and it's going to say replace existing data set if you had one. Hit OK. You don't see anything yet. You just have to come over here, go to preview and apply, and then right here is where we can toggle through each of the sets. You can see we have Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas. Here's the song name. So we have our artist, Mariah Carey, our song, All I Want for Christmas, and the image. And there's the image that goes with it. And we can just now toggle through. And before I leave, I'm going to toggle through because if there are any issues, we're going to see them here. And you can see everything is, all the names are changing. Okay. So we have everything. That is, it all went through. Hit OK. And then you can simply come over to File, Export the data sets. And you can just change the name. We're going to select the folder we want to go to. And again, it is our download Christmas images. Select folder. And we can say document name, data set. Hit OK. It's going to present a PSD file, so that's fine. Again, we have 18, so we want to make sure that all 18 goes through. And here was the point of the process of all of the things that came before, naming the files properly, getting everything set up properly. Now it's all set up, and we are ready to go. And if we go into our folder here, you can see there that it's all here. So it did a recovery here, so it kind of went through it and did it. But we have one last thing. I want to turn all of these images, we're going to get rid of all of those. I do want this to be a PDF. I want to put it all in the PDF so I can upload it to LinkedIn. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to back to Photoshop. I'm just do File. I'm going to go to Automation and go to PDF Presentation. And again, we'll come over to Downloads, my Christmas project, my images, select all the images I want to go to the PDF, go to Browse. I want the multi-start. We're not going to include anything. I don't even want to include notes. It's just a simple presentation. Hit Save. We'll call it Final 2. And I typically just go with this one here. And now it's going to go through the process and create the template. Now, while that's happening, let's go to the original one, because the original one, I took a little more time to put in Merry Christmas, Song of the Season, and All I Want for Christmas got sung by, and then Mariah Carey down here, and now we can just go through. I did this, I did one other thing with this. Let's open so I did a generative fill right here because I wanted a little bow there. The only thing it did was it looked at this and tried to fill it in. So now all of my images look kind of funny. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of that. And maybe I will go to Envato Elements and just bring in a Christmas bow. So that's the only thing. So we could do some generative fill in here, but In this case, it didn't work out that well for me, so I'm not going to worry about it. But that is pretty much it. It is a total process of getting everything done. But really the point of something like this, it takes a little while. This total time of doing all of this was about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. But if you think about how much time it would have taken to go to Photoshop and create the images myself, and then go to Photoshop and build out the template myself. And then if I didn't have a template, to go into every single image and type in or copy and paste all of the text inside of each individual file, you can see that can take a long time. And so when we think about the manual process of doing these type of projects and what automating some of the processes can do for us. And so this is really what we're thinking about when we're thinking about DALL-E, ChatGPT, Photoshop. We're thinking about what parts can we automate and what are the parts that we still have to actually go in and manipulate and do. And as you can see, the spreadsheet, we still have some work to do with the spreadsheet. That's it. This project is going on LinkedIn. Want you guys to go out, be safe, enjoy the family, have a very Merry Christmas, and we will see you in the next video.